Welcome to the Prairie State Dynasty. Before we get into it, let's take a look at the depth chart, starting with our quarterbacks. First up, we have James Ryan, 72 overall, 62 speed. He's not the fastest guy, but man, he's got the arm. Not really. He's bad. Now let's take a look at Charlie Wells, 69 overall, 74 speed though. Better speed, worse arm. But I think he's going to be our starter. Look at him go. So I think we're going to start Charlie Wells because of the speed factor and makes it a little bit easier for us to get out of trouble if we need to. But he doesn't have as good of an arm. Now let's take a look at our running backs. To start out, we got Siegel at the top guy. He might be the highest overall player on the team. We got Rowe right behind him. Let's take a closer look at them on the field. Siegel's going to be our top guy at running back. He's got good speed, good hands to catch the ball out of the backfield, making people miss. I mean, he's got it all for a one-star team. As you can see, Siegel's our top guy. Rowe's going to be backing him up all year. Looking at our wide receivers for the year, we got Minor, Bush, Medley, and Covington, with Covington being the fastest of the group. So we'll see how we can make that work in our favor. Let's take a look at our number 1 overall wide receiver, Ncaa Minor. He's got some of the better route running, the best catching in the game for us. Number 2 on the depth chart's gonna be Todd Bush. He has the same catching as Minor, same route running, but a little bit slower. Then we have Medley, who has the best route running on the entire team, but a little bit worse catching. As you can see him making some great catches here. And finally, we have Covington, who's the worst in all the categories, but he's got the speed to get deep. Now I'll look at our tight ends. We got Harold Holmes, Samuel Green, Heath Thornton. None of them are great. All of them are seniors, so we're going to have to focus on tight end and recruiting. Now, moving on to defense, we're just going to highlight a few key guys, a few defensive linemen, linebackers, and safety. First off, we have our best defensive lineman in Jimmy Coleman. Hopefully he can get lots of pressure and help our secondary out this year. Then we're going to move on to Omar Love, who's 69 overall. Then Dominique Miller and Pierre Wood. All under 70, none of them too great. Victor Cannon's one of our better linebackers. A good coverage linebacker that hopefully will get some interceptions. Tracy Ridgway is going to be our starting middle linebacker. And Carlos Setzer and Devin Engel will be backing him up. At right outside linebacker, we have Tyree Hodges, who is a junior and going to be looking to make some plays on defense. A quick look at our secondary shows that we have 70 overall Ricardo McTaggart. Not great speed, but he's got by far the best awareness. Ahmad Peterson, J.D. James, and Tyrell Welsh. At free safety, we're going to have Lynn Sims, 74 overall junior, who is definitely going to be looking to make some plays in the backfield. And we're going to be playing J.D. James at the strong safety position. Sophomore, so he's got a few years to develop yet. Now let's take a look at our recruiting board. Damon Williams is our top recruit. He's got blazing speed with 94 overall. We're hoping he can be the speed we need on the outside. Then we got Dustin Davis, a great D tackle for us. He wants playing time, and we're going to give it to him. And Ian Morris is a good wide receiver. Charles Clark is a good free safety that we're going to try to get. He is one of our key Michigan guys. Curtis Cooper is another Michigan guy that we're trying to target on the offensive line. He would immediately be a step up on what we have on the offensive line, and his top priority is playing time. Terrence Jones also is looking for playing time. Another Michigan player we're looking at is Kyle Marshall and Andrew McNeil, both on the defense, both positions of need. Thomas Alford is one of the guys we're looking at from Idaho to replace our seniors. He wants proximity to home and playing time. Two guys who we might focus on a little bit later are Robert White and Chad Patterson. They're two of the highest rated guys on our board. Now let's take a look at our pipeline states. As you can see, we have California, Washington, Idaho, and Florida as pipeline states. Our next goal in recruiting is going to be getting Michigan as a new pipeline state. Then probably Texas after that. As you can see, we currently have 6 targets with Michigan and Florida. We have 2 seniors in Idaho and Florida, so we're going to have to replace both of them to keep those pipeline states. Let's take a quick look at the Spark 100 and see if there's any interest in the Prairie State Pickers. It turns out there is not. A couple of guys that have already committed are a 5-star athlete and a 4-star tackle, both of which to Alabama. Let's take a look at our program ratings. We apparently have a B in Pro Potential, B in Program Tradition, and B in Television Exposure. How we managed to be in any of those, I have no idea. But then we have a C in most everything else, D in Coach Stability, Championship Contender, and Stadium Atmosphere. Which all makes sense to me. So basically we can offer television exposure, program tradition, pro potential, and playing time. We've apparently had a 1st round pick, a 2nd round pick, and 9, 4 through 7. I don't know how that's possible, but apparently we did it. Let's take a look at the Prairie State schedule. We start out our first game against a top 25 opponent in UCF. Kirk Herbstreit's obviously picking them to win. They're better than us on offense, defense, and overall. Our second game is against a top 10 opponent in Michigan. Then we play our only rival in New Mexico, followed by Wyoming and Florida International, followed by a bye week, UAB, Louisiana Tech, UTSA, Rice, North Texas, Tulane, and we finish up with Southern Miss. Let's take a look at the Heisman Watch. You have Texas A&M's quarterback. Somehow Bama's right guard is at number 2. Ohio State's wide receiver at 3. Louisville's halfback at 4. Clemson's halfback at 5. Now let's take a look at the top 25. You got Clemson, Bama, Oklahoma, Ohio State, LSU, Michigan, all the typical people up top. You got a big cluster of Big Ten teams around 20, and then Nebraska and Syracuse towards the bottom. Let's take a look at our Rob Gronkowski coaching tree. As you can see, we put 1 point into recruiting so we can get more point scouting each week. Well, that's going to do it for this episode. If you like what you saw, hit the like and subscribe button, and make sure you come back next time to see how Game 1 goes.